Video Girl.
4 months after the release of Charli XCX's Brat, the album that defined summer 2024, the long-awaited remix album finally arrived on October 11th. First teased in June with the Brat War, this isn't just a collection of reworked tracks. It's a fully developed evolution that reimagines the original album, both lyrically and sonically. The new album cover, with its backwards text, symbolizes how these tracks have been turned inside out and transformed into something entirely different. Pre-release singles like Girl So Confusing featuring Lorde made a huge cultural splash and sparked conversations about complex female friendships, while Billie Eilish's remix lended a huge commercial hit for Charli, while showing us a new dimension to Billie's artistry, further building anticipation for the full album. When the rest of the collaborations were teased, there were many unexpected and surprising names in the mix, which threw fans into even more of a frenzy and bubbled way more excitement for the album, thinking, how will artists like Bon Iver and Julian Casablancas fit into the world of Brat? We couldn't wait to see and had no idea what to expect. The entire collection of features on this album ranges from global superstars to more niche, if you know type artists. Today, not only are we going to be exploring the genius of this reworked album and its collaborators in the tracks, but also how the conceptualization and world building of Brat has allowed all of these artists to fit seamlessly into Charli's world, while still maintaining their own unique artistry. Before we get into the video, I want you to comment your top 3 tracks from the album so we can discuss in the comments. Welcome to Video Girl, an online community where we deep dive into all things music industry, marketing, and pop culture. I also curate a playlist called Discovery 101 designed to spotlight underrated and undiscovered artists. If you're searching for new music to be inspired by, be sure to check it out. Or if you'd like to be featured, submit your tracks via the form in the description. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, where I'm even more active and love having further pop culture discussions with you all. Now, onto the video. One thing I have long felt drawn to about Charli is how her artistry always leads with feeling, and this is particularly striking within Brat. Now, with the remix album, these new tracks only act as even wilder, more explicit depictions of these feelings in the most unapologetic sense. Rather than doing a track-by-track analysis, let's do something different and explore this album by splitting it up into these themes and feelings, considering how the featured artists and production changes amplify this. Letting go. The first theme within this remix album is escapism and letting go, and this is served with tracks that are purely born out of the club. I would say this feeling really transcends sonically, as the production in these tracks are reminiscent of raves and clubs and are impossible to sit still to. Club Classics featuring Trickz feels like the track you step into the club to and slowly builds up as time goes on, incorporating the same vocal chops from the original Club Classics, taken from an old Charli XCX interview. It was originally first previewed at Charli XCX's Boiler Room Ibiza set back in June. The Trickz verse, when translated from Spanish, is braggadocious and invokes that feeling of when you first step into the club or party and you're feeling yourself, knowing how good you look. I listen to Trickz in general when I'm getting ready or want a confidence boost, and this verse is no different. As the song goes on, it builds more and more until these pulsating trance-like synths that feel straight out of Project X carry you to the end of the track, and translate the feeling of chaos as you have more drinks and dance even harder. 365 featuring Shygirl feels like it starts exactly where Club Classics left off, and is another track that sonically evokes sweat and adrenaline as you mindlessly dance in the club or rave. Shygirl's verse stays true to the sexual dominant nature of her music, singing touch and squeeze when the bass line hits me. It evokes the feeling of finding someone within the chaos of the rave and having a shared moment of attraction, only if just for the night. Shygirl has been one of my favorite artists for the last 4 years, and to see her gaining more of an audience, even opening for Charli and Troy on the Sweat Tour, makes me so excited for her. Charli and Shygirl performed this track at BBC Radio 1's Big Weekend just before the original album came out months ago, and fans have really been patiently waiting for this one. A few days after the remix album dropped, Charli also surprised us with the remix of Spring Breakers featuring Kesha. Spring Breakers is a fan favorite track, and we basically nominated Kesha to be on this song, so to see it actually happen is insane. This song also fits into the letting go category, as Kesha sings, "We going psycho, we going off," signaling she is going to be unapologetically herself, regardless of what anyone thinks of her. In her verse, Kesha reclaims her narrative and power, recognizing how long she's been in the industry, singing, "Wish they could be OG, but they're not." The whole verse is basically the definition of cunt, and she ends off by saying, "Choke on my name when you suck on my dick." This remix is sent straight from the gay heavens, and I'm so happy Kesha has found her place within Brat, because honestly, she was Brat before we knew what Brat was. The next theme that is heavily explored in these remixes is misunderstanding, and the complexities that come with that. Sympathy as a Knife featuring Ariana Grande explores the difficulties of being misunderstood while being at the top as two of the most famous women in the world right now. Ariana was a child star and has long dealt with this, constantly being in the public eye as she transitioned into one of the biggest pop stars of this generation. Feeling misunderstood is painful and confusing for anyone, but having your life dissected and commented on by millions of people every day due to social media is not something the human brain was ever meant to tackle. It's interesting that the original version of this song was about Charli comparing herself to another one of the biggest pop stars in the world, feeling not good enough or successful enough next to them. However, since Brat has come out, she's transcended into new heights of pop stardom, with Brat totally owning the summer and making the biggest cultural splash out of any other major pop album released this year. Now Charli relates to the same struggles as a pop star of that level she once compared herself to. Ariana has a lot to add to this conversation given her status and experience, as she is someone who has constantly made headlines and her decisions have been picked apart. It's a knife when you know they're counting on your mistakes. It's a knife when you're so pretty they think you must be fake. It's a knife when they dissect your body on the front page. It's a knife when they won't believe you. Why should you explain? Apple featuring the Japanese house expands on complicated family dynamics and the disconnect and misunderstanding that can create. As Charli is an only child, Apple is most likely describing her relationship with her parents, and hints at the generational trauma they have carried from their own upbringings. Differences in generations and upbringings can have a big effect on the way that we communicate with our parents, and the struggles that come with that. I love the Japanese house. I just started listening to her a lot this year and really resonated with her music. She sings, "I'm living in another country, got another girlfriend that you never met. I ignore you when I see you calling, because I know it's something I might regret." Amber Bain, aka the Japanese house, is queer and has always been very open about that in her music. Many families aren't understanding or accepting of their queer children or relatives, and these lyrics are very real for so many queer people who feel like they need to escape or move somewhere new to live a life that allows them to be their most true selves. After the viral success of Apple, after the Apple Dance was created by Kelly Heyer, Charli could probably have had her pick with any artist wanting to be part of this super successful song. The fact that she chose to include the Japanese house, an artist from her direct network, to explore such a real raw theme is very admirable. If you didn't know, the Japanese house is signed to Dirty Hit, and Charli's fiancé George produces the majority of her music. Lastly, Girl So Confusing featuring Lorde is another track that, as we know, is totally centered around misunderstanding and overthinking. I won't go too into this one as I already have a whole video on it, so feel free to watch that after this video. The next theme we're exposed to is Charli and her collaborators talking through tackling and processing complex emotions in real time during these songs. I Might Say Something Stupid featuring the 1975 and Jon Hopkins surrounds the theme of shame after saying things you know you shouldn't after being intoxicated and self-sabotaging. It's almost this feeling of being unable to trust yourself not to mess up and the online scrutiny that brings when you have that level of fame. Matty Healy, the lead singer of the 1975, has been caught under a lot of fire for many controversial and offensive things he's said. He's been open in the past about his struggle with drug addiction, and we hear this reflected in the line where he sings, "Medicine makes me a problem." The production and vocal performance here is very chilling and reminds me of the sonics of the 1975 album A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships. So I, featuring A.G. Cook, is the next track in which Charli is cycling back in her head all the memories she had with Sophie. The original version of So I detailed Charli's regrets, wishing she had been more present when Sophie was here. But in this remix with AG, they chose to think about all the good times they had and how these memories really impacted Charli. She sings, "Now I want to think about all the good times. First time I ever felt alive on stage, in Texas in matching latex, that's as cool as I'm ever gonna feel." These stories shared in this song are so personal to Charli and AG, and it's really so special and such a privilege that they decided to share them with us on this remix. Sophie was and forever will be so influential and has touched so many people's lives. Lastly, I Think About It All the Time featuring Bon Iver explores the theme of thinking about bringing a child into the world and what that would look like for Charli, who since making this song is now having the biggest moment of her career so far, and sings, "You're not supposed to stop when things start working." This adds a new layer to these pre-existing thoughts from the original and makes things even more complicated than before for Charli. This collaboration is like a dream. Bon Iver is incredible on this track and really leans into exploring this concept with Charli while staying so true to his own artistry. The chemistry they have on this song is outstanding and Charli's vocal performance is chilling, especially when she sings the line, "I found love."
I found love, baby.
This song is truly incredible. The next theme that I think is prevalent on this album is Dichotomy. Everything is Romantic featuring Caroline Polachek is really contrasting to the original, with the orchestra strings replaced by these calmer, darker synth chords. This song really paints a visual picture in the same way the original did. But rather than being about falling in love on vacation in Italy, this time we explore London in the autumn time, church bells in the distance, being on your period in the pouring rain, and even foxes mating at night, which is extremely loud and intense if you've ever heard it out your window before, lol. The original version felt effortlessly romantic, but this version feels like going out of your way to romanticize even the things that aren't romantic, and trying to stay positive when it's difficult. Charli and Caroline also have a discussion on this song, where Charli opens up about struggling dealing with her sudden new level of fame. Jesus Christ on a plastic sign is replaced with a cab tag on a bus stop sign, and Standals on the stirrups of the scooters is replaced with girl throws up on the back of a lime. Charli and Caroline really reworked this song in the most magical way, and it feels like so much of both their identities are within it. They seem to have such a strong understanding of each other's artistry, and I love hearing them on tracks together. Rewind featuring Bladee tackles the dichotomy of having the career you dreamed of and being in a place like LA that is so dazzling and inspiring, yet overthinking and placing huge amounts of pressure on yourself, as it can be such a competitive, cutthroat place for creatives. Bladee has forever been an artist that has danced to the beat of his own drum. His artistry is unique to him and his peers, and his world building is on point. He may be considered one of the smaller, more niche artists from this lineup, but has one of the most loyal, tight-knit fan bases. I'm a huge Bladee fan, and I'm so over the moon to see him collaborating with Charli again. Mean Girls featuring Julian Casablancas also explores the theme of dichotomy. Charli cuts in and out, championing the mean girls, while Julian reflects on the experience of being with a mean girl and the emotional damage she left on him. He sings, "I don't understand what you're gonna do. I followed the rules, I took the abuse. I don't understand where you're coming from." The last theme is the reflection on how far Charli has come and her influence. Back to Back featuring Tinashe is a collaboration I was so overjoyed to see, and this remix did not disappoint. I've been waiting for this since Drop That Kitty back in 2015. This track is a total 180 because the original felt like a breakup song, whereas this song reflects on how successful the both of them are now and how far they've both come. Tinashe and Charli both had huge hits early in their careers back in 2014, with Boom Clap and 2 On, but they have spoken out about looking back on those times, not living out their artistry in their truest forms. They've both been through so many ups and downs since then, with Tinashe leaving her label and going independent after they basically shelved her. I also remember Charli going on a rant on Instagram during the Charli era, talking about how underappreciated and underlooked she felt as an artist. Now fast forward 10 years later from their initial hits to 2024, Tinashe is independent and thriving with a huge song and solid fan base, and Charli is having the biggest moment in her career and impacting the cultural zeitgeist while doing it. I love how they mentioned this in the remix, talking about, quote, "Now everyone wants what we got." 360 featuring Robyn and Young Lean also explores this creative look back on their careers and how influential they've all been as artists. They were all stars from such an early age. Young Lean was 18 when he released his viral song Kyoto, which ended up paving the way for a whole new sector of rap. Robyn was only 21 when her mega hit Dancing on My Own was released back in 2010, and Charli was 21 when her first hit I Love It by Iconopop came out. I really love this remix, and although they're all different, they really complement each other on this track. So how did Charli make this work? How did Charli manage to find a place for every single one of these totally different artists from opposite corners of the music industry? I'll tell you how. Brat is more than an album, it's a concept. Every song on Brat contains themes that every human being can relate to in some way. Whether that's themes of escapism, letting go and having fun, or exploring complex feelings of shame, comparison, or even existentially looking at the wider meaning of life and reproduction. And this is all in one album. She not only created boundless opportunity within these lyrical themes, but also in the sonics themselves. This is how every single artist has managed to fit seamlessly into Charli's world. Brat isn't one thing. It's ever-changing, and so are these songs. And so are we. We feel one way one day and another the next. And that is Brat. Being human is being Brat. We are all Brat. She's given every single person that's a fan of any type of music or wanting to relate to any topic something to enjoy. There are endless possibilities within Brat, which means that all of these artists were able to find a space within this world. At the same time, Charli's visual branding and marketing for Brat has remained so consistent throughout every single piece of media that it feels all part of the same world. Even when two songs sound totally different, the visual media ties it back together and our brains feel like they live in the same world. This is why the presentation of your music and art makes so much difference and such an impact. When I do consulting work with my clients to help them build their artistic brands, I always stress that world building is the most important way to leave a lasting impression on fans. This means transporting the audience into another world to escape to that has a clear aesthetic, theme, and feeling. And everyone wanted to be a part of this world that she built, including some of the biggest pop stars in the world. I'm obsessed with this album, and I'm amazed at how Charli XCX has continued to wow us fans time and time again. She really is a testament to following your artistic intuition and living out your full artistic vision. My top tracks right now are definitely Club Classics featuring BB Trickz, I Think About It All the Time with Bon Iver, and Everything Is Romantic with Caroline Polachek. But I think as time goes on, I'm going to rotate between new favorites as there is really something for every single mood and feeling. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up if you did. I love you all so much and the community we've built here and appreciate all of your constant support. See you next time!